Uh, Good morning, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. I always appreciate your presence. So today I will share the main news circulating on YouTube and other social media about Ethiopia's second civil war, another serious crisis in Ethiopia, especially in Amhara region. So this is a problem created by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party. They created this Amhara Fano, Amhara Special Forces uh, by their own deed. They funded, the Oromia region funded millions of millions Ethiopian birr to the region, and the region, trained these forces, armed these forces. Now they are facing very serious challenge in disarming them and try to convincing these armed forces and the public uh, to disarm. But the task is very serious and is threatening the prosperity power. And it's also supported by local, by regional public, and also by Amhara diaspora community around the world. So it's not an easy task. It's a very tough one, very serious one, and it's already creating a bloody conflict in the region. So it's not an easy task. And this group, Fano and Amhara militia, so many media reported about them. They created cross-border illegal operations in Oromia, in Benishangul, and other, especially also on massacre on Wallo Oromos. So they are criminals actually. So you know, uh, if this operation is successful, it's good. It's good for Ethiopia, for the country, for stability and accountability, which is lacking in Ethiopia. Anybody, can shoot you and without any accountability. It's too much gun in wrong hands. So but it's not an easy task for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party. The challenge is this militia and the Fano forces are supported by Prosperity Party at a regional level, plus the majority of the people in Amhara region support them, in addition to the external funding coming from the diaspora community and the propaganda support from different media. That is a challenge. That is a challenge. Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party try to resolve. Very tough one when the militia and the special forces has this strong base. How can you carry out your disarmament? I see different press statement by Prosperity Party, by the regional government uh, office, communication, but they are not convinced. They don't trust the Amaras and the Amara militias, the Fanus. They don't trust the government, and they are blaming the government for so many, challenges. They claim the Amaras are facing. So it's not an easy task, and the operation already started. Even the bombardment of cities. But this group, the Fanos and Amara Special Forces, they vow not to disarm, and they vow to continue their resistance against Prosperity Party. And as I said, they have strong support from different media and from the diaspora community That is a challenge. But in principle, uh, the government should have federal army, federal police, and the local police. That's it for stability and accountability of the country. This is supposed to be the principle, but they created all these mess to have their own advantage. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed praised these forces when he was fighting the Tigray region. So they created the problem. Now they try to resolve it. But we'll see. And it remains to be seen how they're going to resolve. The other bad thing is this group already start blocking humanitarian aid heading to the Tigray people who have been suffering for more than 2 years. So this is the evil deed. They have the evil intention of blocking aid and blocking all the roads, streets in various Amhara region. And the protest, if you see how massively supported their agenda. And the agenda is not about resisting disarmament, but the agenda is to take power from Prosperity Party. This is a well-coordinated, very dangerous, and threatening Prosperity Party Abiy Ahmed power. So that's why the government is fighting. And as a concerned citizens media, I am happy to see the disarmament and control of flow of arms to different militia. When we visited the previous past year or before the operation of these individuals, the beheading and the burning of Oromo houses, while the people are still in the house. Their illegal operation in the Benishangul region, the operation against Wallo Oromos, the massacre in Wallo Oromos, and the operation against Tigrayans. So many criminal acts unaccounted for. So this disarmament and control of the flow of arms is very, very important, very essential for stability of the country. It shouldn't happen like this. They should have known, but it happened. So now, is just like the things happen against the Tigrayans. Now they are, medias are complaining about the detention, mass detention of Amhara, Amhara ID holders in Addis Ababa and the surrounding cities. So now the turn is for Amharas, and they are claiming that Amharas are in a mass detention center by Prosperity Party. Amharas are targeted everywhere. That is they are claiming, and that is a tough one, and we'll see. And I will start. With Al Jazeera reporting on this mass protest in Amhara region and about this disarmament report plus the discussion. So let's listen to that one, and I have several other news to share with you. Thank you for coming back again. So let's listen.
Protesters in cities and towns across Ethiopia's Amhara region have rallied in support of their local forces for 5 days in a row. They want the federal government to abandon its plans to integrate their regional fighters into the national military or police. Violence near Amhara's border with Tigray forced some areas to impose curfews and restrict public transport.
The Gondar, the historic town of Gondar, which is a UNESCO-recognized town, has called for curfew, trying to end this public defiance against the Ethiopian government that insists there won't be any kind of compromise in terms of ending the special forces in which the Amhara regions, as well as other regions, have benefited from in the past.
The plan will apply to 11 regions which have their own fighting groups and use their own languages. The government of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says it's critical for the national unity of Ethiopia. But it's not been well received in Amhara, whose regional forces supported the federal army in its 2-year conflict with rebels in Tigray that began in 2020. Since then, Amhara leaders have accused the federal government of ignoring attacks on ethnic Amharas living in the neighboring Oromia region. They fear dissolving their regional forces will leave them vulnerable to further attacks and prevent them from defending themselves. Barbara Angopa, Al Jazeera.
Live now to Charlotte, North Carolina, to Wadros Turfi, who is chairman of the Amhara Association of America. Good to have you with us, sir. Why is there so much anger and frustration in Amhara over what the federal government wants to do here?
Adrian, thank you for having me on your program today. It's very simple. At the beginning of April, the regime of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali and the Oromo ruling branch of the Prosperity Party began a new wave of attacks against the Amhara people to dissolve the Amhara Regional Special Forces, which are critical to maintaining peace and security in the Amhara region. This unprecedented, illegal, and unilateral disarmament of the Amhara Regional Special Forces will leave millions of Amharas defenseless and also helpless.
Why can't
this is very important here?
Yeah, but why can't the Amhara Special Forces, if they're absorbed into a national army, still protect Amhara as part of Ethiopia's national army?
That's a very good question. The Amhara people do not have trust in in Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali. The purpose for disarming is really dissolving and really not incorporating them into the Ethiopian military. It is really to disarm and dissolve. And the purpose behind it is to render Amhara people defenseless again, and also allow the re-annexation of ancestral Amhara lands back into the TPLF. That is why many Amharas across the region have been protesting, millions, for the past 4 days. And unfortunately, and one thing also that is clear is that the Amhara region has the power within the constitution to also establish regional forces. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali did this without communicating to the Amhara people, explaining the reasons behind it. This is just a unilateral and an illegal move by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali. At a time when the country no longer needs this level of instability, Abiy Ahmed Ali is causing instability again within the country.
How dangerous is the situation then? Could this turn into a situation where Amhara regional forces are fighting with the national army? Could civil strife ensue?
It's already started. They have been protests for 4 days straight across the entire region. Millions of people have come out to the streets. The Ethiopian military has opened live fire against peaceful protesters. There have been reports of clashes in North Wollo and also the central part of the country. We're concerned that the situation is going to get out of hand. And that's why we are pleading with the international community to quickly step in and condemn the actions of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali and his administration, and to impose targeted sanctions against Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, General Burhanu Jula, and also General Ababaw Taddese, who are responsible for this. If this does not happen, if the international community does not quickly step in, we are very concerned that not only will this further destabilize the region, but the country, the Horn of Africa, and the entire continent of Africa as well. We're talking about a country that is 5 times the size of Syria. We saw what happened in Syria. There's about 115 million people in Ethiopia. And this is really unnecessary. In the past few weeks, several generals have been arrested already, including Maskaram Abara, that was arrested yesterday. This is her third time this year that she has been arrested. Civic leaders, youth leaders, they're just being abducted by Ethiopian security personnel without any provocation at all. And so that's why we're really asking the international community to quickly step in.
Okay.
For 4 days, millions of people have been protesting. In addition to what's happening within the Amhara region, the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali's regime has been demolishing the homes of Amharas in Addis Ababa, in the capital itself. As a result, thousands of Amharas have been made homeless. Okay. This is incredible and this is unprecedented.
All right, so we're going to have to edit that. Many thanks indeed for being with us. Tawadros Turfy there in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. So okay, I'll come back to this one and other videos. So that's Al Jazeera paying attention what's going on in Amhara region, which is, appreciative. We appreciate Al Jazeera or CNN or BBC paying attention what's going on in Ethiopia. I don't know if Al Jazeera reported about the ongoing war in Oromia for almost more than 4 years or 5 years. I didn't hear that. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. But now, within days, Al Jazeera is talking about the crisis in Amhara region and talking to, this guy from North Carolina representing Amhara. So Al Jazeera, I don't know if they try to present a balanced news. They should have invited somebody from Prosperity Party or from the government to present their view instead of just focusing on one-sided to be balanced or to be fair. So that is missing, but the coverage is appreciated. They should cover it. They should cover it. They should cover it. It's a major news. It's a very critical news happening in Ethiopia. It's a very destabilizing, very serious, and this group, if they are not controlled, they will destroy Ethiopia. They are very dangerous for all regions, Benishangul, Oromia, and even other regions, plus the Wallo Oromos who are under Amhara region without any protection for several years. So they must be disarmed, they must be controlled, and we'll see. Let's continue with other updates I have from Addis Standard on Ethiopia. This one says heavy artillery fired in Kobo as protest in Gulf Amhara region following decision to dissolve regional special forces. The security situation in Amhara region is changing fast as civilians in various cities of the region staged protests against the government's practical activities to dissolve the controversial regional state special forces and recognize them into regular regional and federal police as well as the national army. Clashes broke out between government security forces and the civilians, as well as between members of the regional special forces and the national army in some cities, according to residents. Residents in Kobo town in the North Wallo zone of Amhara region told Addis Standard that the sounds of artillery was heard in the town on Sunday night. Reuters news agency reported that members of the Amhara Special Forces had fired their weapons into the sky all night in defense of the decision following massive protests on Sunday in the city of Gondar. In a statement issued on Sunday, the opposition National Movement of Amhara, NAMA, also claimed that the use of heavy weapons was observed in Raya Kobo and urged that it should stop right away. According to Reuters, protests were held in at least 7 major cities of the region, including the capital Bahir Dar, Gondar, Dessie, Waldia, etc. Many city entrances and exits were blocked in addition to the demonstrations. Following the massive protest in Gondar, the Security Command Post Office of the city imposed 12 different restrictions, including a ban on bars and nightclubs, which prohibits serving customers after 9 p.m. local time. It also prohibits a three-wheel vehicles, commonly called Bajaj, from providing transportation service in the city from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. local time. Other restrictions include carrying firearms outside of authorized government security forces, including silent instruments with sharp edges such as knives and spears. Obstructing the law enforcement mission of security forces by covering up for suspects, concealing, and giving false information is another provision announced by the command office. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed stated yesterday that the reorganization of the regional special forces will be implemented at any cost, expressing his firm stance despite the fact that the protests are currently being held in many cities of the Amhara region in opposition to the federal government's decision. Yildiz Kafale, President of Amhara Regional State, also announced that the decision was made with the support of the federal and the regional administration and will be carried out across all regions. There was no explicit decision to disarm and disband the special forces in the Amhara region. On April 7, the Amhara Regional State Government, following a statement issued to recognize regional special forces, called on members of the regional special forces to return to their respective camps or assigned workplaces and remain calm while the ongoing reorganization works of regional special forces continue to take place. The statement was issued following reports of discontent among the Amhara region special forces after the plan to recognize the regional special forces into regular police and the National Army was unveiled. The statement assured that the Amhara regional state government will not implement any decision that violates the rights and interests of the people of the region, and urged the people of the region to stay away from the campaign of false allegations, which is practically disturbing our people and our special forces members. 2 days ago, General Abebaw Taddese, Deputy Chief of Staff of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, said that the decision was neither to disarm nor to dismantle them, however, to recognize and to reform the forces as a matter of the Constitution, noting that the work has been in the making for the last 4 years. But all statements from Prosperity Party or from the army or for the regional government not convincing this militia. They don't trust them. This one again from Addis Standard. This is a ruling party warns Ethiopian opposition political activists to refrain from illegal and unprincipled activities. So this is a warning from Prosperity Party. The ruling Prosperity Party issued a stern warning to opposition political actors and social media influencers to refrain from illegal and unprincipled activities related to the federal government's move to disband and reintegrate controversial regional special forces. The ruling party defended the move, saying the origin and destination of all its positions and actions is Ethiopia's existence, greatness, prosperity, and the peace of its people. The party said this is the mindset of mass protest happening in various cities and towns in the Amhara regions since Friday last week. Residents who spoke with Addis Standard said that clashes broke out between government security forces and civilians, as well as between members of the regional special forces and the National Army in some cities. The Washington Post reported this afternoon that at least 4 people, including 2 Ethiopian aid workers with Catholic Relief Services, were killed in the town of Kobo after the federal military clashed with a volunteer civilian Amhara militia known as Fano in the town of Kobo over the weekend. Although the government said that its decision to dissolve and include regional special forces into various security structures include the army and the federal and the regional police, and that the process was based on long-standing research to improve the training, armament, and the living condition of a centralized army based on the constitution. Its moves have been made stands in the Amhara region, where protests that started on Friday continued until today. In today's statement, the ruling Prosperity Party said that the issue was the subject of its campaign for the 6th national election, and that it has made our position clear to the public that we will recognize the special forces of the regions according to the constitution. The party further defended the move, saying that only the federal government has the responsibility and authority to build a national army to protect the country and the people from any attack and enemy. It warned some unnamed opposition political parties and their leaders, as well as individuals who claim to be social issues activities, present the issue as a matter of disarming only one region, and added that this can be easily understood that their goal is to amass cheap political gains and to try to mislead the public to gain temporary acceptance. The party further characterized the unnamed political actors as trying to spread poisonous information by fanatical forces that are trying to present this decision as a specific decision only for the Amhara region, and they said that it is completely false. So it's a lot of, convincing from Prosperity Party, from the government, regional government, and from government-controlled media. But so far, nobody is convinced. So the clash continue, the protests continue, and we just watch it very closely and update you on the situation. It's a very serious one. This is about the tragedy in the United States, Louisville, Kentucky. Gunman kills 5 in bank shooting. 5 people died when an employee opened fire at a bank in Louisville, Kentucky, and live streamed the attack on Instagram, police say. The victims were aged between 40 and 64. Among 9 others injured was a Iraqi police officer who had graduated to the force just 2 weeks ago. The officer was shot in the head and is still critical after brain surgery. Police responded within 3 minutes and fatally shot the attacker in exchange of gunfire. The shooting took place at the Old National Bank in the city center at about 8:30 local time. Caleb Goodlett told local media his wife, an employee at the bank, locked herself inside the vault when the attack began. Other witnesses described seeing the shootout between police officers and the lone attacker. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said an incredible friend of his, Tommy Elliott, a senior vice president at the bank, was among the victims. Tommy Elliott helped me build my law career, helped me become a governor, and gave me advice on being a good dad, said Mr. Bashir. The victims have all been identified. Thomas Elliott, 63, James Todd, 64, Joshua Burrick, 40, Julian Farmer, 45. So if you are interested for further details, please visit bbc.com on this Louisville, Kentucky tragedy. This is from U.S. State Department on wrongfully detained journalist in Russia. Let me read. This is a State Department report or press statement. Russia's wrongful detention of journalist Ivan Gershkovich. Very hard to read some name. Today, Secretary Blinken made a determination that Ivan Gershkovich is wrongfully detained by Russia. Journalism is not a crime. We condemned the Kremlin's continued repression of independent voice in Russia and its ongoing war against the truth. The U.S. government will provide appropriate support to Mr. Gershkovich and his family. We call for the Russian Federation to immediately release Mr. Gershkovich. We also call on Russia to release wrongfully detained U.S. citizen Paul Williams. So that is the last for today's news update on reading. So let's continue watching the videos I selected from different media. One is, I think, about reinstating the Democrat in Nashville, Tennessee, after they removed them from. Let's listen. That's Nashville, Tennessee. Like 3-4 days ago, they removed them from position for supporting the protesters against the gun violence.
I want to welcome the people back to the people's house. I want to welcome democracy back to the people's house. That on last Thursday, members of this body tried to crucify democracy, but today we stand as a witness of a resurrection of a movement of a multiracial democracy, that no unjust decision will stand. And that this represents the point that there comes a time where time itself is ready for a change, and that time has come back here in Nashville, Tennessee. That truth crushed to the ground will rise again, that what you intend for evil can be used for good, to restore the heart of democracy in our state. And so I come here to stand with my constituents, with the people of Tennessee, to say that no unjust attack on democracy will happen unchallenged. That the abuse of this body will not happen in the comfort of silence. And so the people of Tennessee, I stand with you. We will continue to be your voice here, and no expulsion, no attempt to silence us will stop us, but will only galvanize and strengthen our movement. And we continue to show up in the people's house. Power to the people.
Power to the people. Okay. Okay, next I got maybe one or two.
Hey guys, meet Ahmed, our new interpreter. Don't turn out to be a pain.
Not me, sir. Well,
Tired of these advertisements.
That man saved my life.
Thousands of Israeli settlers marched through the occupied West Bank on Monday to a former Jewish settlement that was evacuated 2 years ago.
This week was also terrible tragedies in,
the massive demonstration
in
was
the
led
Middle
by
East.
at least 7 members of Prime
Endless
Minister
cycle
Benjamin
of
Netanyahu's
violence.
cabinet, signaling the government's determination to accelerate settlement building in the occupied territories despite international opposition. Thousands of Israeli police and military forces were reportedly deployed to protect the march. They fired tear gas at Palestinians in a nearby village, who hurled stones at the soldiers to protest the demonstration. At least 2 people, including a journalist, were reportedly shot by Israeli rubber bullets. Also on Monday, Israeli troops killed a 15-year-old Palestinian teenager during a raid in the refugee camp near Jericho. An Israeli-British woman who was wounded in the West Bank on Friday in the Palestinian attack that killed her 2 daughters has also died. Tension is also high in Jerusalem after Israeli forces stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque twice last Wednesday. Last Friday, Israel announced the mobilization of its reserve police units and military reinforcements.
China on Monday said the U.S. was avoiding responsibility to help developing countries solve their debt challenges. At a press conference in Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said African countries owed most of their debt to private lenders from the U.S. and Europe, and not to China. Wang said that as the largest shareholder of the World Bank and IMF, the U.S. holds a responsibility to help countries navigate debt problems. The U.S. has accused China of delaying a debt restructuring deal for Zambia, a charge Beijing denies. China has demanded that multilateral lenders, such as the IMF and World Bank, accept to make losses on money lent to Zambia, arguing that its lenders have made many generous concessions. The US, IMF, and World Bank have rejected China's demands. On a recent visit to Zambia, US Vice President Kamala Harris called Beijing's position unprecedented. Zambia, Ghana, Ethiopia, and Tunisia are some of the African countries which have sought debt relief.
Okay. These are the videos I selected for your news update for today. Thank you for joining me again. And let me conclude. The task at the hand of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party is not an easy one. They created this force, they funded this force, they trained this force. Now they turned their back against them. They are trying to disarm them, and the task is not an easy one, because these forces, Amhara special forces and the Fanos, they have, as I said, they have the public support at home, and they have the media support at home and around the world. Also the financial support and the political support by the diaspora community and by a domestic community, especially in Amhara region. So it's not an easy task, but if they are successful, you know, it's a good thing. It's going to create stability and control of illegal arms in illegal hands. Because, as I said, this group are, engaged in the past in several illegal activities. They are, named in, in genocide or crimes against humanity by United States. So they have some criminals in this group. The massacre on Wallo Oromos. If you remember the video circulating on social media, 30 men taken from Wallo Oromo on the truckload and shoot them openly. Nobody accounted for that. These are the group responsible for that, plus the crimes committed across Oromia and the Benishangul, the burning of human beings and the beheading and the hanging of Oromo's head. So many criminal activities carried out by this group. So disarming them is a very important for accountability and for arms, for illegal arm control. So it's not an easy task. It needs a lot of convincing, not only shooting. It requires a lot of convincing, talking to the people, convincing them this is not about disarming you. This is about giving you position in the federal army, federal police, or local police. So it's a lot of activity required by Prosperity Party, Abiy Ahmed. It's not only using tanks or heavy artillery. They need to do a lot of convincing and controlling these false propagandas and financial support from the Amharas living in the diaspora community. It's not an easy task, but if it's successful, it's good for stability and accountability of the country. Thank you for joining me. I will be back with other news and updates. Be safe. So long, everyone.